If you're watching this video as part of my class, I want to call your attention to a couple of differences between the notation that I'm going to use and the notation in your text. What I've given you in these videos and what I'll be using in class is something like this. Delta x is equal to x final minus x initial. And I really think the best I can tell, this notation, kicked my camera. The best I can tell, this notation makes things the most clear. This is how I learned it. This is how I've taught it for a long time. Your book uses slightly different notation, so I just want to make you aware of the differences. Your book will define this as x minus x naught. That's N-A-U-G-H-T. It's an archaic word for nothing. You might have heard it. Your plans will all come to naught, right? They'll come to nothing. We read this as x naught, x sub 0 maybe if you want to. Your book is using this just general variable x in place of x final. That is, at some point, this thing is at position x. And while I'm calling that the last position, they're calling it just the position. And I understand why they're doing it, because we will spend some time talking about how this is not necessarily the final position, like ultimate final position. This is just the position at which you stop caring about the system. And that can be a little unclear. So I understand why they do this, but I still prefer this x final. This I don't like at all. In my mind, x naught is, we usually use the naught subscript for some sort of constant. And they're using it for initial. People do this. I don't particularly like it. But if you just sort of map these together, the notation in your book is going to be, you'll be able to see where the notation in your book and the notation that I use match up. Now, which one should you use? The answer to that is whichever one you feel most comfortable with. If you've taken physics before, or if you just really like this system and in the physics class you took before used this, use it. I don't care. I can read this. I'm going to stick with this though. So if you've never done this before, I'd probably encourage you to do this. But with that said, in future classes in an engineering department, you're probably going to run into this using x naught for initial. And of course, this is not just x. They'll use v naught for v initial. They'll use a naught for a initial, a naught, and so on and so forth, right? So it's okay. Notational differences are not that big a deal. Everybody's going to use them because every book uses slightly different notation. But I just wanted to make you aware, if you're watching the videos and you're reading the book, you might go, oh, this is not really lining up. It is. You just have to learn to read slightly differently. I think the final initial are more clear, so I'm going to stick with those.